Chair of RDC. Good morning and welcome everybody that are on the call. This is Wednesday, March 16, Resource and Development Committee meeting. Mr. Tahi, could you do the roll call for the record, please?
Roll call for Wednesday, March 16th, 2022 at 8 a.m. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez is present. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Thomas Walker Jr. texted in his roll call vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Herman M. Daniels. Honorable Mark A. Freeland.
Good morning, I'm here.
Mark A. Freeland is present. Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr.
Present.
Wilson C. Stewart Jr. is present. Chair, you have 4 members available, which establishes a quorum. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tahi, for that. Let me have Honorable Freeland, would you do the prayer, please?
Chairman, good morning. Sure, it'd be my honor this morning to offer the invocation. Colleagues and staff and everyone on this call. Everyone has their own way of acknowledgement. Everyone has their own way of prayer, and everyone is obligated to do their own way of prayer this morning. So I'll offer that. Our most heavenly Father, our gracious God, our Creator, our Redeemer, our Savior, most merciful one, we thank you for bringing us together once more, Father, at this most important time. We ask you to have mercy on us this morning. Have mercy on us each and every day. We give you the thanks and praise each and every day, Father. We give you the praise for the continued blessings of renewal, for life, for the abundance of resources that we have in this time, Father. This short time that we are here, we offer to serve you. We thank you for the blessings of family, for the blessings of life, for the blessings of opportunity each and every day, Father. Thank you. We pray for all and protection for all of our leadership today and all of our people, our Navajo Nation President, Jonathan Nez, our Vice President, Myron Leiser, our Speaker, Seth Damon, members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, our Chief Justice, Joanne Jane, the Associate Justices of the Navajo Nation Supreme Court, and all the district judges as well. We offer protection and ask for prayer for all of our frontline workers, our Navajo Nation Police Department officers, our Navajo Nation EMS, our Navajo Nation Fire, all those staff personnel working in our Indian Health Service units at this time who are serving our people in a capacity, Father. Help guide them and protect them as well. We offer prayer and healing for all those who are sick right now, whether it be physical or mental ailments, Father. Help heal our people at this time, especially those who are battling COVID. We give you the continual renewal and praise, Father, as we celebrate the season of Lent. We offer we know that your son Jesus spent 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, Father, fasting and giving sacrifice as we look forward to the renewal of Easter, but we also have to remember that he was sacrificed and put to death on Good Friday, Father. So we offer that. We ask for those forgiveness of sins at this time, Father. We ask you continually to give us the praise and the blessings each and every day. For those who are throughout the land, Father, we ask you to bless them and protect them as well. For those we will continue to ask, especially our veterans and our elders and our children. We ask you to protect each and every one of them. Give them hope and guidance at this time. Give them the opportunity of renewal as well. Give them strength. Give them courage and give them the wisdom each and every day, Father. As we ask you to give that to us as well. Offer us the strength, the wisdom, the courage, and the knowledge to continually to help each and every one of our people, each and every day that we serve in this capacity, whether we serve as elected or staff. Help us help our people, Father, at this time. Well, these things we will continue to ask through your Son, Jesus Christ's name, by way of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, Honorable Freeland, we'll have a good meeting and a good day today. So yeah, and we're on to announcements. Mr. Tahi.
Good morning, chair members of RDC. My announcement for today is we have a 3:00 leadership meeting with IHS Window Rock Indian Health Care Service Center, Navajo Department of Justice Natural Resources Unit, GLAD Land Department regarding the lease transfer from IHS Window Rock Indian Health Center to Telecom Medical Center at 3:00 today. Then on Thursday, RDC has a NABI and a special council meeting at 9 and at 1:00 on Thursday. Then on Friday, we have our final work session with regarding the Arizona water rights settlement negotiations and litigation with Department of Justice Water Rights Unit and Navajo Nation's Water Rights Commission. Chair, that's my announcement. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. We certainly appreciate the work you do for us too. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any announcements? I hear none. We'll go down to number 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. We'll have introductions for everyone, starting with RDC. Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Yes, good morning, Chair, committee members and our staff, and other colleagues of the 24th Council. Those the presenter for today's meeting, as well as the listening audience. This is Thomas Walker. I represent Loop, Tulani Lake, Cameron, Coal Mine, Birch Springs chapters out here in Western Agency. Echo, although being Katoni Bashichin, Totsani, Chiche, that I don't say this national. Could echo no here, where if you know Nick Egido to nowadays, Nikito, it's go here, Chiche. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Honorable Daniels. Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, good morning, colleagues and staff. Shinatai. Always a good way to start our day is reflection and prayer, and it puts things in the mind and our body into perspective. So Shay Mark Freeland this year, Arado Flinigi Totsoni, Stolok Kia Ani, Bushes Chin, Sandra Kinney, Tena Bethany Edishinale. I represent 8 chapters out of Eastern Agency, Crown Point, Nahadishkish, Tehe, Besenti, White Rock, Lake Valley, Herfano, and Nayeze. Good morning to one and all, and thank you, Chairman and colleagues.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Honorable Begay. Honorable Stewart.
Oh, good morning, Chairman. Nez Aaron the Vice Chair Walker, Aaron the Shinaika, Aaron the Shiche, Mr. Tahi, those American chemist, Woody, Aaron the Khan, Aaron the Koro, this morning for our regular RDC meeting, which is rescheduled to this morning at 8. Though yeah, Shana and has the things that this morning. But so the Rangeland, knowledge education, but she's chain, touching the shade, double between the Chanel. I don't tell so I had shade when it's on EJ, the pump at the shot, and the corner for Defense Agency, so represent for the 24th Navajo Nation Council on the Resource Development Committee. Consultation, thank you.
Thank
Chairman
you.
Keller.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. Honorable Begay or Honorable Daniels?
Chairman Keller, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I tried to unmute earlier. Produce that Hanani National King on the Dashaja, Ani Dashachi, other Dishi, Dashanale. 5 chapters that I represent, the Mountain, Touchy-Bugap, Solana, Cudwood, Noslini, and many farms eat I Kudoshananish instance of Don J. Dasa Sidorish. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing over there in DC on behalf of RDC and the Navajo Nation. Thank you. Jay Rickness and she Hawasan or Zetwachin, Bushes Chains and Habit Lashachedoki on it as another. Hashtag chapters Panash, Nishige, Hogbacks, and one Nizad, Upper Fruland, Burnham, and Newcomb. Welcome, everybody. Let me go to staff, Mr. Tahi.
Good morning, chair members of RDC. My name is Rodney Tahi. I'm the legislative advisor for Resource and Development Committee. I'm Kia'ani and Senja Kene, and I'm originally from Steamboat, Arizona. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Woody?
Chair, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Chair and RDC members. Nikido yat epen Chair Teresa Woody and Shiado Tapa Hanshlo the passage in the Pasture Chinky Ane Dashero Sina Geneta Shinale Hot Oni Jeta Zido. Good morning and here she has General Hot things in Mr. Phelan. Let's have a good day. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Woody. Did you forget to tell us something? Or later? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can you still hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. RDC members and Mr. Chair and all the other staff and those people that are online or that are listening in, I will be retiring on April 8th, 2022. So I enjoyed working with RDC. So I just wanted to let you guys know. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Woody. Thank you very much for all that you have done for the Navajo Nation. And much blessings to you. May God be with you always, your family as well. And take good care of your mom. Yeah, Ms. Woody. Ms.
Thank
Barbara,
you, Mr. Chair.
you're welcome. Anybody from Legislative Council? Kapahi? None? Ms. Yako?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, RDC members and chairman. Thank you. This is Melinda Arvizo Siako, Sitna Jenny Song, Kia'ani Bashishin, Footage Ini Dashichedo, Dashini Dashinala, legislative staff assistant for the Office of the Speaker in Winter Rock, Arizona. Thank you for having us on the call.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yako. Do we have any of our colleagues on the call with us? Honorable Speaker Damon, Honorable Host Newton. They have legislations here. Honorable Paul Begay, are you on the call? None? Let's go to the President's office. Mr. Phil.
Good morning, Chair, members. Good morning, members of the Resource and Development Committee and everybody listening in. Davis Philfram from OPVP, Executive Staff Assistant. I'll try to catch up with you guys tomorrow or the next day too as well. There's a cheating, see, don't ask you, but that's a cheat. But the cheating, that's another. I don't share, don't come. And what's all there's the game on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Filfer. Anybody from the Department of Justice?
Good morning, Chair. This is Catherine Bolzowski, Acting Assistant Attorney General for Economic Community Development Unit. I also have my attorneys, Ms. Frances Schoberg, Ms. Felicia Adams, and Ms. Jordan as well.
Thank you, Ms. Belzowski. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And
I'm sorry. Good morning. This is Veronica Blackhat from Natural Resources Unit. I'll be listening into the RDC meeting today as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackhat. Next. None. We'll go to Burnham. Mr. Ernest Dishwood. Press star 6 to unmute.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nez. My name is Ernest Diswood. Since a card name slam, Kanagating Pasischain, Tachini Dashache, Ashin Dashanale, and we reside in Block 10 area of the NET project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dishwood. Ms. Laverne Begay.
Yate pena brigade shadow is the caro block 11 had need to be caught a sugar and sla oh what land buses chino touching it as another door to the chili that's a chill astonishing
Ms. Begay. You're going in and out of reception.
Yeah,
If you could find a place where you have good reception, we would appreciate that. Mr. Dustin Johnson.
Morning, Chair Nez. My name's Dustin Johnson. I'm Petahni, born for Torachini. I'm a grazing permittee in districts 19 and 20. I'm a former vice president of the Northwest region for the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association. I'm a secretary of the San Juan County Farm and Livestock Bureau. I'm also a member of the San Juan County Farm and Range Improvement Board. And I look forward to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We have on the call with us our attorneys, Ms. Laurelene Tapahi.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Laura Lane. I'm on the call.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Ms. Heather. Yes, we hear you. Thank you. Ms. Heather Springer.
Good morning, Chair. I'm on the call.
Okay. Anybody else? I hear none. We'll move down to reviewing and approving the agenda. Mr. Tahi, could you read this into the record, sir?
The chair members of RDC, the agenda reads as follows. Resource and Development Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, regular meeting, Wednesday, March 16th, 2022 at 8 a.m. Proposed agenda. Presiding, Honorable Ricky Nez, Chairperson. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., Vice Chairperson. Location via telecommunication. 1, call the meeting to order, roll call, invocation, and announcements. 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. 4, reviewing and approving the journals, March 9th, 2022. 5, receiving reports. A, report from the community members of Burnham that live in blocks 9, 10, and 11 of the Navajo agriculture products industry, who's subject to the difficulties of getting water and electricity due to a moratorium in place. 6, old business, none. 7, new business, legislation 0042-22. An action relating to resource and development, approving a mission site permit for 1.5 acres, more or less, for reaching out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc. in the vicinity of Hard Rock Chapter, Navajo Nation. B, legislation 0046-22, an action relating to resource and development and advocate committees and the Navajo Nation Council, approving and adopting the agreement to amend the compact between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona, the First Amendment to the 2021 Arizona Compact. C, legislation 0048-22, an action relating to resource and development, health and education and human services, budget and finance, and non-budget committees, and the Navajo Nation Council allocating $29,216,453 in Sisasan funds to Navajo Land Nursing Home, Inc. for the construction and operation of a veteran nursing home, approving the Navajo Warriors Home Expenditure Plan pursuant to 12 NNC Section 2501 through Section 2508. D, legislation 0049-22, an act relating to resource development, budget and finance, and non-budget committees, and to the Navajo Nation Council approving $500,000 from the Sihasan Fund for the assessment, removal, and cleanup of old residential units in the community of Navajo, New Mexico, approving the related expenditure plan in accordance with 12 NNC Section 250A 5A. E, approving an in-person leadership meeting with CKP Insurance and Department of Agriculture for Saturday, March 26, 2022 at 9 a.m. on the Pasture, Range, and Forage policy update and how the 2021 policy ended, Twin Arrows Casino Resort. F, canceling RDC's regular meeting on Wednesday, April 27, 2022 at 10 a.m. and schedule a RDC special meeting for Friday, April 29th, 2022 at 10 a.m. 8, close the meeting, announcements, and adjournment. Chair, that is the proposed agenda read into the record. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Chairman
for
Kellen.
the agenda. Honorable Begay, thank you. Second by
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, thank you. Any comments or questions?
Chair.
Mr. Tahi?
Chairman, Delegate Carl Slater requested that his legislation 0048-22 be deferred to next week's RDC session. In addition, legislation 0046-22 regarding attachment exhibit A on the legislation needs to be held in executive session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tahi. When we get to legislation 0048-22, we'll just skip over. We'll ask for a sponsor and then we'll just move down so we don't have to take care of it. We'll just skip over. Thank you. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? I hear none. We'll go ahead and vote on the agenda approval. Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay.
Chairman Kellen votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels. Honorable Freeland.
I vote green, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels. We have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. We have an approved agenda before us as is. Number 4, reviewing and approving journal from March 16, 2022. Ms. Woody sent this to us, so we do have it in our emails. I'd like to have a motion and a second.
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, thank you. Second by
Stewart.
I'll second.
Honorable Stewart, thank you. Any comments, questions?
Chairman.
Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, we just want to say thank you, Teresa, Tree, Miss Woody, for all the work that you have done. We're saddened to hear of your departure, but thank you very much. And it's awesome that you're going to be taking care of your mother as well. Very noble of you. Thank you very much for doing that and all the work that you have done on behalf of the Navajo Nation. We're going to miss you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland, for that. Ms. Woody, would you like to say something again?
Mr. Chair, yat hiha hito in journal hitin dashnish. Ado anlede hut beshmasa anebitl dashnisho akushina khai. Okay, yoba hinsen. Thank you. Ado da shama aya but nahot hasli openina shama ba hashiado so ebedina shana nishigi obet atesha resigned ishlinsen de retirement chiko ajiko shichla asli so or retirement shle so hot shana nishi en naso shama ba hashiado le ebeni ye hot on na nishi bits unshot Dolly, I don't hear and Junon de Shinde don Junon that Misto, I don't let your band that Dobin ear that kio Honi, not all in ha hints and what here, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Woody. Any other comments or questions on the journals? I hear none. We'll go ahead and vote. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Gay?
Chairman Kale votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels? Honorable Freeland?
I vote green. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Thank you. They have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed. They're not voting. Motion carries. Although we do have a colleague on the call with us, Honorable Otto Show.
Good morning, everyone, members of the Resource and Development Committee. For my community. Even get not quite national. Toy here cleaning. Is a cup on look at me, that's a shade or not national. I don't that one is the day even page was unintentional. Thank you very much this morning for the time, Chairman. Also, Shema Teresa, she had some hunting and Shikido. I did a shinto and Lenny, but initial Tahat or Zido. Fish was the underline and the she Indla. Or here her own style for the transportation, Teresa Shema. Also, here.
Thank you, Honorable Show. We do have on the call with us from NAPI CEO, Mr. Dave Zella.
Thank you, Chairman Nez. It's a privilege to be able to listen in on your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome to the meeting. Honorable members of RDC, we're on number 5, receiving reports. Report from the community members of Burnham that live within blocks 9, 10, and 11 of the Navajo agricultural products industry, who are subject to the difficulties of getting water and electricity due to a moratorium in place. Presenters will be Ms. Laverne Begay, Mr. Dustin Johnson, and Mr. Ernest Diswood. First, you have 20 minutes to share. So we'll have Ms. Laverne Begay. You go first.
Oh, yeah, Shane Laverne Begay Shadow, late is a card at A. She has lead has cutting a touch in a question. Otherwise, Henson, shut it any door. She and Kaya Hopaka, hit a hajo in the Nali, do hajo in his gun, all ton his in Canal, could a blood 11 hit no. Ben Hawint, the all top 11 each on this is Nahalendi. one home site list they indicator tan hit na anit tan hi ganin hi home site list atat tenalan ajo alkeda ta hawane ere pennache kodoshik edan lenisa behaite dan leni hawan aslaje trailer de ziso benat hala keda hawane nalo quite todo alaya tas in the Parland in the south side added in the other hitch does the con la 11 baka itan hit ni a codish edan linity behaite dan lini trailer only heat in the things asai hawan akuna todas ledo electric aje chota la hashinza shi pahanda chawat on the illa I spent hit na hot the other trailer shot zin the bigger how water line done in the then how 100 the toya does lead the car shamaya la hot and so the up na ko handicap hot a khano water line na lot then so Pasha eat it ko I said the na hot ara one the question khatal chin and then to lecture Pasha does it hala ani home site lease kholo ha shi chokhechi home site lease kholo ni attention no ne to ta ne cha ko akhot en le Navajo nation baka home site lease khata ere benache home power line or water line da ne khatten da alt en hito men het den also ishinik kechi ko la 11 years until es aja ohot bin yana nashta so hon lede khahol jijon asanda atle hon hinat de krishishno kreho bekhoniya bahnas jeha atten ada shakal yeda nala anin la hoden nan da shete ne ada nashta bin yerniya de shnoten nie do official leader lashga ni ada ahaje nalena ara asnanna alta ebehna nasti khela shaka dalwal khela sheddat isla stishnat anin lenin so katiti ka ho ebeni ya nanashti hala also bennan hit na hajoni gandalnis atil naslande da bigata hajoni hin biga hon higan atil naslanda bigata also so ya ashora akoti ha 11 ya 9 10 and 11 ananat natli ayeta musa hata hasto to jota liada to jopen ta anista ado alskon le Washington da peson hitwan alnik nahalen ashini ya eho alia ya aron le ka hol jira to tit on khata tol nilo ni ganda tit on khata tol nilo kushi ben hitcha is den da be alzenda den o distig o altro ben hit na lo keda nit ajko she eshitil id bin nadin nas naden sthala be yananski ado to ashide ta de snida altro shik edan lin ho shal sin nalata as so keda tan lini ada bounces case atadi ba chot anashi Arada in hat sahat is case and naste hot arada nan hidden nepa but not at least she other hun need zita she hot an other hun so ikhas zito ya other hashit an hat a leto jun henat an it an no large and so the nepa yata chito hot dan hit is la khata atata hata zi shenat anat ani dishleti ta nakhandash nishe dan hiton ni dan hit ako ere ya benan hinskata ko jo pa insen ot snishe den apni to bekhayje bni ya hun so hasti dol ado he.
Thank you, Ms. Begay. I don't know. Next, Mr. Dustin Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Nez and members of the committee and honored guests and officials. Like I said, my name's Dustin Johnson. I'm a 5th generation permit holder in Block 11. My great-grandmother was relocated from Block 4 in the NIP Nappy project and we were moved to where we presently are in the 1980s and 70s. My grandmother, my late grandmother, Pauline McCauley, she had a home site lease approved by the Navajo Council, Form 200A, back in March of 1984. So, or 1983, I'm sorry. And she's never had running water. She had to haul her water in. In the 90s, she had to get her cistern system put in place, and she had to haul water continuously up until her passing away 2 years ago. And it's been a struggle ever since. And we've had the problems. Our grazing permit is now in temporary status due to the NIP and NAPI project. And it's never been that way. We were told that she was told verbally that NAPI was never going to be able to develop up in her area, blocks 9, and it currently is. We have 2 fields on the northeast corner of our grazing permits that took away some grazing land from us. But she had electricity installed in the 80s or the early 80s, and I think she was able to get it through because of the Navajo Nation Council approving her home site lease. But she never had running water, and she went through several trucks, several water hauling tanks, and it's been a difficulty for her. I remember when I was young, when I was a baby, just seeing her haul water every day up until my adult life now. And we still continue to haul water for my family members up there that live still up there. And we've went through the proper channels. We've tried to get water, but it's always lack of funding is what they tell us. But to get to water to our point is they said that they need a bigger pump to pump water up to Moncisco Mesa. And we've went through several channels. Recently, I was able to get some resolutions passed through my Herfinale chapter. Hopefully, our chapter staff was able to forward that to your committee. But they're HUE 0-47-21, which was passed last year. And then I had 2 more, another resolution passed this past January, HUE 0-24-22 in January of this year. And along with another chapter resolution was HUE 25-22. So we've went through several processes trying to get water up there, and we always told next year or next is coming. But I'm almost 40 years old and still no water has been up there. And it's been due to the whole NIP and NAPI project. As you guys know, that NIP was formulated or planned back in the 60s, was signed into law in 1963, was reevaluated and revised in 1970. And that's how the NAPI project went to where we are now. I was looking for a map. Hopefully we get some more time later on, but I do have a map that shows from 1965 how the whole NIP project was supposed to go from south of Bloomfield to where blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I think 7, and then continue on towards the Newcomb and Tortolina area. The canal was supposed to go that way, but then, like I said, in the 70s, it was revised and put in our area to where we are now. So other than that, that's all I have to share. I guess I'll give some more time to Mr. Deswood. So thank you, Chair, Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Where are you registered at?
I'm registered in Herfinale chapter, but I also farm with my family down in Upper Fruitland chapter, and also have a grazing permit down in Vicente from my maternal grandfather. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ernest Deswood.
Thank you, Mr. Nez. Oh, yeah, this is Ernest Deswood, and I'd like to start with giving you a little history about my wife's ties to the land. We reside area is known as Moncisco Mesa, and it was named after Edwina's great-grandfather, who was named Moncisco, and that was his sole name, is Moncisco. Now, Edwina's maternal history precedes the Navajo reservation, as verbally told by Edwina's family. Her great-great-great-grandmother was taken to Fort Summer, and her daughter attempted to travel down to Fort Summer in a two-wheel wooden wagon, to buy her mother back with a coral necklace. And they were denied and had to return to Moncisco Mesa. However, her mother, her great-great-great-great-grandmother escaped, but had to leave her young son behind. And she left her son in the care of a Mexican guard. And the story is that she hid during the day and traveled at night, and to avoid the search parties that were searching for her. And the story continues that an owl guided her back to Moncisco Mesa and her family. So Edwina's family ties these lands are deep and strong. Plus, there have been numerous ceremonies conducted on this site, not only for her family, but for other residents within the community. And today we continue, we practice the traditions of the burial of our children, grandchildren's placentas and umbilical cords into the earth. And these are according to fundamental laws, ties us to the land mentally, physically, spiritually. And other impacted families in blocks 9, 10, 11 also have these same traditional, cultural, and family ties to the land. As far as the NIP project, relocation on the Navajo Nation has a sad history of failures. And a few examples are McCracken Mesa in the 50s, the Navajo Hopi JUA area in the 70s, the Navajo partition lands, the new lands, the NIP project. There were promises of homes, hospitals, land, schools, but few, if any, of these promises have been kept. But today we are speaking of the detrimental impacts of NIP development on the people in blocks 9, 10, and 11. Again, homes were built, but home site leases were never provided. Now people are unable to obtain water, power, septic systems, and other services. Also, promised homes were never built. Promises for water, power, and other services were never fulfilled. It's been over 60 years that NIP was legislated, and today people are still suffering. Attempts to get the people's concerns and hardships brought and resolved were ignored. They were given the runaround to a point where they gave up trying. Both me and my wife have experienced this firsthand, and this started in 2009 when we moved back to the Navajo reservation. Examples that we give are attempts to get support from our chapter officials were met with comments such as, "It's a done deal, there's nothing that you can do about it." Another comment was just whatever. The only elected official that attempted to assist the people was Davis Henry, who at the time was the East Tosacad grazing official. However, he was also stoned by the BIA, or stonewalled by the BIA. We also experienced behavior that was uncalled for. We met with Mike Howell, BIA NIP, and Mr. Lionel Haskey from NAPI. Mr. Howell was very abrupt when he demanded, and he said, quote, "Who gave you permission to move there?" He also, quote, "We will not pay you anything. You need to get your stuff and get the hell out." And my response to that was, you did. BIA signed off on our home site lease along with the Navajo Nation. Needless to say, this meeting was heated. When we attempted to talk to former NAPI board members of the NAPI history of Block 10, we were shocked when we were told, you need to dig 6 feet down. Maybe you can get the answers on the history. Our treatment and experience only hardens our resolve to address the injustices people have been treated with indifference and disdain. We now seek to have our Natani speak for the people so that justice can be provided to the people. Therefore, we humbly suggest that our existing system has failed us and a new approach is needed to ensure that blocks 9, 10, and 11 are addressed properly. And we offer the following solution. This solution will provide the people the home site leases and will allow ARPA funds to be used to provide them basic human services for water, power, septic, all these other services that they should have gotten in the past. These are basic human rights. The idea of basic human rights has been espoused by our leaders. So we need to step forward and ensure that these people are treated well and given what they are due. It is our belief that Navajo Nation RDC can issue a directive to the Navajo Nation Land Department to determine the impacted families and to work directly with impacted families to provide them home site leases and to expedite services to these impacted families and homes. Any process or procedure should be done so that a financial burden will not be placed on the people. As we are all aware, costs will prevent most of them from obtaining a home site lease. To address this, the Navajo Nation can pass legislation that will grandfather in the existing homes for home site leases. It can also provide and expedite the right-of-ways for septic systems, home repairs, and other necessary services. This legislation also should include a time frame for these services to be completed. Therefore, we respectfully request RDC, the NIP subcommittee, and Navajo Nation to provide additional meetings to help develop viable solutions to negate the negative impacts that people have experienced over the last 60 years, and especially those for blocks 9, 10, and 11. And I thank the RDC Council very much for allowing us to bring and report these concerns that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dishwood. Yeah, Mr. Johnson, yeah, and Ms. Laverne Begay. And Anna Senegay, let's have a motion and a second, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
Chairman, I'll motion Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, thank you. Second by
Chair, I'll second.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, thank you. And this night of Kid Kodo, Nikidan away block 9, 10, and 11, JK Hatingo. Ape Nihachadashi, block 9, 10 to 11, Ajishin, Dak Atosh Elneta, O Kunzaho Jishko. Then the Ajke had any gay home site at that, then the moratorium of the Gehege question so as a gibbonina. A kokoro, Nihachan we struggle with this situation, being hitchin that we none hit on me. I don't that the but on hitchin that in a can't hit on me. I don't fund the he get a creature. We went through several trucks for our late chapter official, Janine Dinkama, Pauline McCauley, Tunji Gehodlago, Chidabkate as Ahagi Han the highest chance. Ada Corona Hitchin how the system has failed as Nikit Antony. Ada Tohaki, it's a basic human right. It don't need a corona be in Hitchin how Zito and Hika Jane hit a mission and not Lenigi. Sarazaba Naidos, Dobaha Station and
Chairman Kalen.
Honorable Begay, you have the floor.
Chairman, Shahadalish Kudo. Ado, Shane Singi Aden, Hitchida Hassan, Aniki. AEC shift on Saskatchewan sometimes additionally let over years. I believe RDC just needs to drop a legislation, Chairman, to allow the existing homes to get water and power line. For whatever reason it will take, just so that these existing home for more than maybe 5 years or 10 years, allow that infrastructures to happen. In working with the land department in Nappy, I'm not sure if Nappy will say anything about it, but I guess this is a similar situation, and I don't want to bring up additional issue to the concerns by the people that called in, but this is the same situation that I'm going through with some of my community members and many farms that lives in the area of farmland. But these homes have been in existence for 10 years, 20 years, but yet they're being told that they can't get water line or power line or even home site lease. Interestingly, I got a call last evening, and that's another area, Chairman. Again, I don't want to add on more problems or more situation to this particular report, but a family is asking for a home site lease to do and then improve their homes in the forestry area. But this home has been in existence, but the forestry is telling them that there's moratorium and they can't get their home site lease approved. So, the Quigoshi Tapagan, a coco, earlier, an individual said that that is true. I mean, that's the basic purpose of it for us to help our community members. We just don't want to turn around and say, well, yeah, but this is the policy, this is the law. And I believe that we are in the position to change these policies in a way, not just to go do away with it, but how do we help individuals, humans that live in these areas? Okay, how do we accommodate them? Chairman within the region, as an overall, with this opera funding. See, that's the other thing. The other day, I had some disagreement with one of the division director about the allocations of these opera funding. If they're not too specific to say that these are the chapters and these are the individuals that we're going to be helping, will be determined, and I'm sure families like this, they will be overlooked, even though the legislation 257 would say that we can help family with water line and power line, but yet they don't realize that family in these situations will be overlooked because a policy says that we can't provide infrastructure to these type of situation or an area such as Napi. I think this was brought up before. The family, some people are approaching, and I believe that they are reaching out to us. The chairman, I'm not sure if our legislative council is listening in. Farmland, forestry, any other area right now that these homes has been in existence. Electricity, the water line, out of the home site lease that and then we can take care of the other area that are not being disturbed. That's understandable. So I'm not sure if that helps of the situation that has been given the report. Although the family and a lot of times if we don't experience it, we really don't know the feelings or the situation that they're going through. Especially it's just being on report. I mean, I don't really want to put the family down to say that, well, this is just a report. But my point is that I just need to make a directive to the RDC and as our legislative council to develop legislation to make some exception to get these individuals or these families to get the water line and power line. Now, the other thing is that, what situation we need to get input from IHS and then into A. How far are they on the power line listing and the water line listing? And then if they're asking for home site lease, land department would provide us to say that this is the situation, this is the obstacle. But I believe that I think it's the only way that they'll get help is that we act on it through a legislation, Chairman. So that's my recommendation. So I don't know. I mean, hate to say it, but I don't need to talk about it. But all we need to do is to drop the legislation, and then when the legislation comes up, they come back and then reinforce with their support. I don't know if it needs to go before the council or just to the RDC. So with that, Chairman, like I said, an overall blanket, because opera funding is coming and there's tons of funding that is being talked about to where we need to justify. I mean, this is our justification. No, well, I'm sorry, but has only been it's not pesos. Siya no chita sa yesha ego go hatahi peso dengi ordinary chochi ito ato hachetness ego go they need this na handan. So even now with chairman I don't know at the end of the report, in the next report, in the next motion, that's a directive or request straight to get a legislation going. Chairman, that's my input and recommendation to help the family making the report. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you for that, Honorable Begay. Ms. Laureline Tapahi, are you still on the call? Anybody from Legislative Council?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I had trouble with my button. Yes, I'm on the call.
Okay, Ms. Tapahi, there is a question raised here, and we need your advisement. If you can't provide an answer today, please do so by emailing us a response. Perhaps there needs to be some research done. First of all, we would like this moratorium document that is in place at NAPI's Block 9, 10, and 11. That's number one. Number two, a question was raised as far as utilizing the ARPA funds to help our people in Block 9, 10, and 11 who do not have home site leases due to the moratorium that's in place. And how can we, after requesting a legislation, is it possible to waive some laws to allow our people in that region to receive water and electricity? What is your advisement, Ms. Tapahi?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I think that the best thing would be for me to consult with Ms. Bobroff, and also DOJ, I think, should weigh in on this. I do think that we can perform legal research on the applicable laws and regulations excuse me, pertaining to the moratorium to see what can be done to get that lifted, to get around that so that the families can get their utilities. So I will put an email together, and if the sponsor, if the person reporting on this matter today could send me documents, emails, something that will help me to reference the particular statutes and policies and whatnot, everything that's necessary for me to look at, well, whatever they may have at this point, I would really appreciate that. That would get things jump started. And I will forward that on to Ms. Bobroff and to DOJ and see what can be done. I hope that
Ms.
answers
Tapahi,
the question.
Ms.
Thank you.
Ms. Tapahi, what documents are you requesting as far as supporting documents?
Anything regarding the moratorium, anything, maybe chapter resolutions, maybe letters sent by the families, anything from NAPI, anything of that nature that will help us in investigating. And I will see, I'm certain that DOJ probably has someone there who's knowledgeable about it. And I will definitely see if they have documents there as well.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tapahi, for giving us some guidance on this. The folks that are listening, is only 3 of them, but there's more than 3 people that live in that area. And we do have the grazing official from the region, from Burnham chapter, Mr. Tanner Begay on the call. And Mr. Tahi, since you have the contact information on the 3 individuals and they're listening, we will start compiling supporting documents as well as chapter resolutions, letters of concerns, anything that will support this, and also the moratorium that is in place. The letter needs to be located. If we have to go to NAPI, Mr. Zeller is on the call as well. We need these documents for our legal counsel to do research as to how our people can receive water. And please work with Mr. Tanner Begay as well. And also Mr. Dustin Johnson, if you would also provide some email contact information, as well as Ms. Laverne Begay and Mr. Deswood, provide as much information to our advisor, Mr. Tahi. Thank you. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any other comments or questions?
Chairman Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, colleagues and staff. Good morning, as well as the presenters. Thank you for enlightening us this morning. I want to specifically say good morning to Mr. Johnson, and as he's a constituent from Herfinale chapter. And good morning, Dustin. And I just want to make a comment on the late Pauline McCullough. I had an opportunity to meet with her and talk with her several times. And she was such a remarkable woman, a very strong Navajo woman. Talk about fierce, talk about determined. She spoke from her heart. And, she spoke elegantly, but she spoke passionately about getting water to her area. And it was hard to fathom because of the situation that we're talking about today. And she kept asking, you know, all she wanted was water at her place, Montisco Mesa. And during the pandemic, we did get a chance to visit with her. I took some people up there and we had a good talk with her. We took her some food and some water. You know, and I'll never forget Pauline. I'll never forget her. She will always be in my memory. And, you know, it's people like that you always want to strive for as a leader. And I'm glad Dustin's carrying on the legacy of Pauline. I'm really proud of you, Dustin. And, you know, I too agree with everything that's been said by my colleague, Honorable Kealan Begay. And of course, Chairman, thank you for bringing this report to the RDC and to the others in blocks 9, 10, and 11. You know, if they're already established homes, why can't we look at bringing them water, essential, basic needs, things we kind of take for granted sometimes. And I always remember talking with Pauline, next to her water, she had this huge water container, and she says, this is where I store my water. But it's situations like this, Shantai, what do we need to do? How can we help? And the moratorium or the home site, you know, we just got done talking about hardship. You know, we utilize hardship financially. We could say this is definitely a form of hardship for all of our people that are living without running water and electricity. That's a form of hardship too. And we have many instances like this in Eastern Agency, Herfinale, Naizi, Lake Valley, White Rock, Vicente, Najishkij, as well as Standing Rock and Crown Point, even the chapters that I represent. But Chairman and Shantai, I really want to commend you for bringing this forth and setting this down, because this is really important. And it kind of reminds me of what we've been talking about and what we discussed in Central and Western, the NPL and the Bennett Free situation. It kind of reminds me of that. And you know, I feel like we a lot of our people have deservingly and willingly fought for just basic infrastructure, basic human rights, electricity, running water, bathroom additions. Those are basic components that we need to instill and provide for our people. In regards to what you had mentioned as far as working with Mr. Pahi, we could look at the current IHS SDS listing, and maybe through our working with our chapters, look at revising the SDS, the current SDS, updating it to look at all of our people within these 3 blocks. How can we amend that current SDS to reflect their needs as well? I know there's a future SDS out there that Congress hasn't appropriated yet, but that SDS is the driving force. That SDS listing that IHS puts out is the real important document that we need to put onto, have our people like Mr. Johnson and others onto this SDS and revise it. Now, you know, we could ask BIA, we could ask others for category exclusions. If that's the situation, if they're on allotments or if they're dealing with other land statuses, whether that's BLM. With BLM, we have to go through program. If there's a programmatic agreement in place, but these category exclusions could also help with rights of ways. The only thing is dealing with NEPA, But if these category exclusions are established and already in place, that would be very helpful. So I'm all in, Chairman. I want to do as much as I can to help, especially with Mr. Johnson and the legacy of the late Miss Pauline McCullough. There are many like that in that area. Their home is already established. They're right off of Highway 371. Every time I come up that big curve on from going south from Nappy, and I always look over there. I always look to Pauline's area, and I'm always reminded of her and her family. And you know, I really appreciate this discussion we're having this morning, Chairman. But we need to also look at that IHS SDS listing and see what it has and how we can refine it potentially to reflect, including all those listed in blocks 9, 10, or 11. And maybe I'll have another follow-up meeting with IHS as well. Mr. Dave McDonald's the one we need to talk to, as well as Jason. But Dave is the one that will help drive and give us some guidance as far as the SDS is concerned. So, idea, Chairman, I just wanted to end it there. And you know, I'm going to be talking with my chapters. We're going to be looking at our SDS, our 8 chapters. I'll also get those resolutions from Herfinal as well. Our 8 chapters, we're going to be talking about the full legislation of 257. We're going to review our lists. We're going to look at our electrical lists. We're going to look at our bathroom lists. We're going to look at our water lists. We're going to look at the SDS lists extensively. We're also going to look at the broadband in our area, and then our solar component. And then the big one is our housing. I'm asking my chapters to start looking at the housing component. Who's in need of housing within our 8 regional chapters? So that's something we're going to start discussing before we dive back into the 257 discussion. So, Eddie, Chairman, just my thoughts and my comments this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. There's a legislation or resolution number RDCO-74-16. And there's findings B, Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council delegated its authority to improve, issue, amend, assign, relinquish, and execute home site leases. Home sites at the Yokeda. The Kushinache, 1960s, Doherstag, Dag Ehotsa for Liado, Yagovan the Hastandi, then they can't what Doshada Archer, then a quagishing eyes it and then he cat, and get over it, then though it's in English. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? Mr. Halona? Can you hear me? Mr. Mike Halona?
Good morning, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Halona, we're having a discussion about NAPI's Block 9, 10, and 11. Our people that live in that region there, within that region, don't have a home site lease due to a moratorium that's in place. They want water and they want electricity. And Mr. Halona, about this moratorium in place over there.
Good morning. Yeah, I've been Chairman of the Resource Development Committee. Good morning. I am aware of the plans that NAPI has. They've drawn out a proposed survey at one time in their plans, including Block 10 and 11 on the southern part. There are residents down there. There's some that have the home site leases.
There's others that have been told they can't get leases because that's NAPI land. Unfortunately, none of those lands have been officially withdrawn, or leased by NAPI. Some have actually been told that they need to move off. So we've had this discussion previously with NAPI administration as to what they're telling the people and what is not correct. There is a water line there way on the south end next to that substation, just north of there, going west, that feeds those homes. There's a proposed solar project that is being initiated by Navajo Hopi Land Commission, Navajo Nation, and Untitled Chapter. In the south end. And then after that, NAPI did inform us that they had no plans to go down to block 10 and 11 because they don't have the funding to develop those. So there are people that are living there, on the south end there, that are residing there. So some have tried to get leases, but again, they're told that they're squatting and they're trespassing and so forth. But as of right now, if somebody applied and submitted all their documents, and they would get home site leases, because there's nothing in place that prohibits them to be able to do that I am aware of. Mr. Halona, are you talking about blocks 9, 10, and 11? There's no land withdrawal by NAPI or anybody else, and those people have been living in that area and they were told no, but they can request a home site lease? They can request it and they'll get it? That's correct, because there's nothing that we have seen that has been established. There's not even a fence boundary down there or anything. And Mr. Haskey is aware that we've had this discussion in the past. And I told him, I says, how can you guys claim all that? Because it has never been conveyed to NAPI. I said, you have it in your planning maps and proposal of how in the beginning, how NAPI foreseen building out all of those blocks. And so Resource Development has only issued one lease up on the northwest corner. I believe that's 20-something acres south of Ojo Amarillo, up on top south of Upper Fruitland, Yago. A quiet area, least I have cut. I didn't open a house on there. And so I know there's even been a billboard that went up there on at one time that NAPI wanted to be have the authority to authorize those and receive the revenues. But those have been, I think, hopefully resolved. So we are aware of all those. In fact, we plotted them. We plotted all of the home sites that were existing at that time. Aro Sabelanda is lingi akodet ato chidayo ihit ato aro leikat ikata lehegi edo nas nilodelia, so they could see how many there was. Aro akote aro ta obanda hasil neto bichemushane delia ado te dishindet ato banastis itanden adendita. Achelahin Chairman Nez, yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Halona, for making these clarifications. Mr. Deshwood, Ms. Laverne Begay, Mr. Dustin Johnson, you're more than welcome to apply for a home site lease in reference to what Mr. Halona had stated from the lawn department. Joe Conhort, he got Ella, or she not so they had a seto, Nasford Faith and say. I don't that DD not so she gave though. Hitch and Hodor, Nitigi, Nihinan Shidi, Linshan, moratorium, Hatney, Halit, Hohatne, Lato, Hela, Hela, Gunin, so Hala, so Hela, lastly, moratorium. Ahora, Egoshin, I did deal Kisto and Fispana, gentle confident, so our people can receive water and electricity. So it is just kitchen and any other comments or questions?
Chairman Freeland.
Honorable Freeland.
Chairman
Go
Keelan.
Chairman, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Halona, for that very important information. We always appreciate your work, Mike. I guess my question to you then is, are any of these homes on allotted land, if they're on trusts, that's going to be a much easier process for home site leases. And if there's any way we can grandfather them in to the IHS SDS listings for the chapters, if they're on allotted land, that becomes a different situation. Of course, that's going to have to go through BIA, but if we can work on ensuring that everyone's on trust land, and I don't know if it would work for the same with fee land too. That's going to be a different situation. But that's my question to Mike. And I don't know if BIA is on the line as well. But if any of our people are on allotted land, then we got to ask BIA to work with them to help gain leases as well. So Eddie, thank you, Chairman. My questions.
Thank you. Mr. Tahi, could you get BIA on the call for us, please? Thank you very much. Mr. Halona, your response, sir?
Yeah, no, I don't. Chairman Nez, though, Delegate Freeland, I didn't kidding. As I'm aware, there aren't any, that area does not have any allotments in there. The allotments are on the east side of 371 towards Herfinale, up in that area. Pauline, they have an allotment in that area. I can't remember her last name. I can see her face. Ede Adro Eta, allotments in the but this area where these residents are being established. I also want to add one other. The only moratorium that's in place is in Upper Fruitland, and that was put in place by the chapter. They did a resolution. They wanted the moratorium because a lot of homes were going up inside the agricultural fields. So they said, let's stop right now. Let's put a plan together. We want people to move into our community, but we can't be putting everybody in our farmland because it's causing more disputes for those farmers, and we're losing our farmland. So we want to put a plan together, the Dini chapter, though, and Club C. And I've met with Club C several times on their proposed projects. Plan is cost where all the new residents would go in based on infrastructure. And I think they were trying to get some of the top up around Ojo Amarillo relinquished back out of the farm area. I know they did a cemetery up there. They wanted to put housing up there and have all the lots available so the younger ones moving home could come back to the chapter and they'd have a place to go. The chapter went further with that resolution and actually brought it before RDC, and RDC approved the moratorium on new home site leases. But if somebody has a home site lease, they can transfer it to somebody else. If there's someone deceases, they can probate that home site lease and get it. It's just building a brand new, getting a new home site lease to build on. That is what they were addressing. That moratorium
for home site leases in Upper Fruitland chapter is still in place. And as far as I know, it hasn't been rescinded by RDC nor the chapter, although they have attempted to several times. I was at one of the chapter meetings prior to COVID where they entertained that rescinding motion for the chapter, and it failed. But the chapter voted it down to lift the moratorium. So that's what I know about within the chapter of Upper Fruitland service area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halona. Let me go back to Honorable Kiel and Begay.
Chairman, the one thing that I'd like to ask Mr. Halona is the moratorium that's in place in the forestry in the Saley Wheatfields area. What is the process? As I indicated earlier, there's a family that approached me and asking for home site lease, water line, and power line in that area. Just similar to the family that are asking for help. But I think you just indicated to them that all they need to do is to go through the application process, that they don't really have a situation just to start initiating the application. In some areas, and then of course mini farms, and that have to go through the BIA, so if you could be able to clarify. But otherwise, Chairman, as indicated earlier, we should have some section to go through a blanket overall, just so that all these upper funding projects would be moving forward without a problem. It all the legislation have the because it stops at RDC as an oversight authority. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. I believe what we need to do, Mr. Halona, also honorable members of RDC, since blocks 9, 10, and 11, Corral Burnham Chapter Community, as well as Herfinale Community, Mr. Johnson, and how many areas across the Navajo Nation has similar situations and challenges that they have homesteads but no home site leases because there's moratoriums in place. The many farms, the Mr. Halona, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Nez, Resource Development Committee. I thought that moratorium and the forced moratoriums and has been in place 10 years and what thought need to announce that out of forest management plans was blend on the source RDC but that hot or soci indo consigi all that so the forested areas of the BIA trust assets maybe this she by the Yano that need she had linked from the trust assets. Some cases, some of the people that moved into these areas, there's been a couple that have come in to RDC and asked for a waiver. I know one family there north of Wheatfield Sadie chapter, not too far north of there. Your utility line no. They actually were living, they developed the homestead, the trailer, everything. The extension cord was running almost a quarter mile to their house just to have lights, nothing else. And so they came to RDC and RDC did a waiver for them.
Ado in the Tapanal Hosi Nastanesti. So that has happened in the past. I think there was one up here by Summit as well that kind of happened the same way. It came in, and so this has been happening on a case by case basis. So you've got the forced moratorium. You have the NAPI lands that have a imaginary line that they claim is theirs, although it hasn't been conveyed to them in a planning process. Although you have buffer zones that are now in place over a canyon de Chelly from the rim and from the road that were placed back in the 80s by RDC. So there are some restrictions still in place. A lot of controversy happened, especially after the mine spill, San Juan River, Shiprock community, when EPA came in, did their assessments, and EPA just kind of mentioned that there's a bigger environmental concern with all the septic tanks along the river, those residents. Ado Farm Board, we're losing all the farmland. One day in the farmland, so really nobody's farming anymore. They're just turning it into residential. So based on those, we put into the 2016 home site lease regulations that reinforce the land use permits that BIA issued back in the 40s up to this date. And then they saw land use permit for agricultural use. Not so far that ya ne kaya hata has so should also need to talk that the list yeah. Okay, and then they saw start on the okay, what else the kagi whole one and dot after agriculture, but yeah, kaya about that. Ane ebony na yeah, that has ani yeah. No future home site leases. Like tomorrow, if I wanted to put a home on some forest land, some agricultural land in Shiprock or in Red Willow Farms in Tohatchee, by regulations, I'm not supposed to because that is designated for farming. So RDC reinforced the land use permit use intentions by saying no more home site leases, new home site leases on agricultural fields and farms. So in many farms' case, we explained to them, those that are existing, you probably can't get them to move or you're going to be talking about relocation. So identify those. And then what's left would be the continuation of the farm. Auto land use permit. If the chapter all gets involved, the farm board all gets involved, let's redo the whole farm. Irrigation with time. Okay, land use permit. Not avoid that. Nashi agricultural leases. But need agricultural lease. You have to exchange. Okay, what I just it's a lease, long term. Auto. You can also use it for financing for agricultural use. So you can finance. But NNRCS is more apt to give individuals funding for agricultural use if they have a lease, not just a permit. So there's a big advantage to agricultural leases. Never Washington, approve it. So that's something to think about. But so we can talk about a lot of those prohibited areas. Another one is all of our mining sites on Navajo. Nahot ahomba now tapangana yetas kaya which end up with this shin the ata nahas kabinino took aren his pahosen so on shin the seed ka his pahosen ye ya nini hollo ako yahit ato ni hansato ado natural ni dole so the abakage the whole one shot dot after that the na kondo ba has adi long da. We try to tell them is that this is an unsafe area. This is a hot zone. Ako buffer or safe but no EPA. Hadato sohoko. A protection zone bentas so we won't normally put people back inside those hot zones. Like open in Church Rock. Some of those families are looking for places to move to. Kind of like relocation, and EPA is helping them with the home site leases, getting them new homes, taking them out of those hot zones that have been developed because of previous mining activities. Ako dabe hobekeya art agent ako the hot idako hachikio go show all the way from Cameron, all the way through Monument Valley, all the way over to East Nuts, Pasture, Iago, and of course all the eastern. So there's a lot of hot zones that we are aware of. Ako dodni akonda sai spahazin akonda adishi yaho ako ajin des ashin ni hot end just like that nini hot long and that's what I told the staff is and EPA when we've been meeting with them. What do we do in those cases? And I says, but if they knowingly and willingly want to move in there, we should come up with some type of waiver form that they acknowledge that it's dangerous, it's unsafe, and all of this. And there should be a waiver form so later on we're not in a liable situation saying the Navajo Nation put us in there. They gave us a lease for it. So that the so all of these areas there are different stipulations for not only protection of the people but also protecting our resources as well. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halona, for that. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any other comments or questions on the report from the 3 community members from Burnham chapter?
Chairman Keelan?
Honorable Begay, go ahead.
Chairman, if we are done with the report by the family from Block 9, Hatnindiki, Mr. Halona, could you give me a call and maybe have an additional call with another family in similar situation in the Saley area regarding the moratorium and how they can proceed in getting their situation resolved? And I told them that I was going to help them as much as I can. Mr. Halona, if you could be able to provide me time to talk, and then we can go ahead and move forward. Chairman, I appreciate it. But overall, I would like to request RDC Chairman to our Legislative Council that we develop a legislation to really help our Navajo family that are going through this situation in the farming land, in the forestry, maybe a lot of land that probably in my area, the NPL area, the Navajo land section. We know that a lot of these people, our Navajo people, will be having obstacle to get water line, power line. PGR with all legislations keeping needs all big section because however the policies in place right now, I believe that they can be changed and then we can be able to help our Navajo people. So with that, Chairman, I'd like to request those two statements. So with that, Chairman, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. What we'll do is our legal counsel, Ms. Tapahi, has requested supporting documents. So Mr. Tahi will be compiling all these documents to move and have our people receive water and electricity in areas where they have similar situations as Block 9, 10, and 11, and your area as well as others, perhaps, and Bennett Freeze and NPL as well. Ako Asia hot ero len kaya gatit ahi korosa de tanahadit ahi legislation bedi ninigi bidi kiton kahida do li ako iti ARPA Washington that beso the mail so bill so shida bedi na 1.8 billion niki sato pesto yek ito lato tope da hado lesto ti de etchen especially hada hidol do zaki hot khatana oda shin ito lesto hot kehda de no holji seda not on it and the house on that and aro hit ara de la chon hit on niron hitcha ha otzi ashe ne hot hot in the corona spend the deal. We're going to step forward now and start looking at all angles and what we need to do. My recommendation is to have this meeting with RDC community members at NAPI and take a tour of Block 9, 10, and 11. And hida dine what I in his behodos in the cushion naked hat a quagin has agish and arno senigi a coation what error less. Honorable Chair Charles Noon, you have the floor. Press *6 to unmute.
Sir Nance, can you hear me?
Yes, you may proceed.
Yes, Chair. I apologize. I was getting ready to get off into the elevator. I just got in from DC. Chair Nance, I'm a little bit concerned about the report that has been provided to us this morning because, one, whenever a moratorium is established, RDC has to give final, blessing to that moratorium, is my understanding. So when we're talking about a moratorium being put in place, the question that I've had is how many moratoriums has RDC approved? And I know that this current RDC, they haven't approved any moratoriums, is what I was told the last time I inquired. And the reason I did ask that question was because in Shiprock, there was supposedly a moratorium that was established, and working with Mike Colonna, I learned that that moratorium was never recognized because it didn't get RDC approval. And that's when I found out what the process was in terms of moratoriums. However, in that same, in that same token, there has been some issues regarding the NAPI block. And my understanding, and I did do some research on behalf of Mr. Diswood, because they did come to me and asked me for my help, and I was trying to gather all of the information for that issue. But what I learned is that there's not actually a Navajo Nation moratorium in place. What's going on is the federal government, when they approved the NAPI land, that land that is being questioned was part of that agreement that was made with the federal government. And so that's why there was never a Navajo Nation moratorium, because federal law trumps Navajo Nation law. So no matter what Navajo Nation law says, the federal law is going to prevail because it's the federal government. And per my understanding, Chair Nez, is that the government, when they set aside snappy blocks, they set that part aside. And there was a question of, whether that happened before or after the families were living there. I don't know. I'm still researching this information. And again, because Mr. Diswood did come to me and he asked me for my help. And that was one of the things that we had talked about, was making sure that all the documents were properly presented, because if the federal government is the one who gave that land to NAPI, Navajo Nation really doesn't have any authority, nor can we establish a moratorium, because the federal government has already established that land to be federal land. As far as I know, again, those lands were put aside for NAPI, and I think that is the reason this whole issue came about. So I know that Mr. Halona has provided us a report. However, I do want to caution and say that I think before we encourage our Navajo people to go get their home site lease, we really need to make sure that everything is in place, because I don't want to give false hope to a family that has already been struggling. And it does require BIA being on the call, but it also requires NAPI to be on the call as well. Because as you know, Chair Nez, one of the things that we have been pushing for from Navajo Nation Council is for the federal government to give us all lands that were promised to us during the NAPI agreement. And that hasn't happened. And it's been, I believe it happened in the 1970s when that agreement was put into place. So again, I just want to say that, Chair Nez, I agree. I think that a full meeting needs to happen because these people do need water and electricity. And as Mr. Halona stated, in terms of that, agreement in making people sign that ahead of time so that they know, I think that is something that RDC should be considering, because we are starting to see a lot of those issues come about where families have moved back onto their homeland knowing that they can't get water because they live on, a bedrock, but yet they still want it to happen. I think that the next council needs to be aware of the things that are happening that this council is deciding. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in, and then just also let you know that I too am doing some research on that issue to find out what really is going on in terms of helping this family. Thank you, Chair Nez. I'm going to go back on mute.
Thank you, Madam Chair Charles Newton, for your statement. Aro Bonnaiden Kidiki, Mr. Halona, Coronaide Kidiki, Sagora Bain Chili, Asti, the moratorium at Ninigi, Aquagi Tenetabaga, Nigido, federal government, Koro, Kaya Hashiate, and Ash Ani, the Hans, Sagola, in API, Bahodet, Do DDG, Benachenko, Hadash, not source, Mr. Halona.
Chairman Nez and Resource Development Committee and honorable delegates that are on the line, Delegate Charles Newton, appreciate your comments. The only other aspects, and I didn't mention it because the area we're talking about is on trust land. The area east of 371, there's the NIP project, okay? So there's 2 different things up there. You have the NIP, and then you have NAPI that was established. So we need to pull out all the NIP projects. What was given as NIP. And I think BIA, if I was on the phone, they'd be able to explain the NIP side. And of course, and then they expanded it over to the east side and that. We do have maps of that, of the different categories, because Like I said, we've kind of dealt with this before previously. So we brought up the different steps that have happened when NIP was first put in place. And then there's been several different public land orders go into effect afterwards. And, perhaps we can do a report to RDC if it was in person. We could show you all of those following up on each public land order. The first one was this one. The second one happened, and when that happened, the one in 1976, public land order. What did it say and what did it do? With BIA, and I think we'll have a real good understanding about the whole area up there. There's actually fee lands also within the NIP area that Navajo Nation owns as well. So, that's what I would recommend to be able to do, because it's kind of hard to do now. I'm on the phone. I don't have access to show you screenshots of what I'm talking about. But if we could follow up with another meeting and do a report, and I think that would address a lot of the unknowns and put all in place in perspective. And then the BIA could also talk about all of those different public land orders and what it gave them and what was given to them and what was outstanding and what hasn't happened, as Delegate Charles Newton mentioned. And then one last note would be, I think, finished on a special process for home sites for existing dwellings, existing residents. The environmental reviewers, everything else, and went through using their read without breaking the law, using the regulation. I said, right here, I think is what we can use to come up with a process just for them. So it's still going to take two other departments to agree to it, and then the designated environmental reviewer can then this process through, like what BIA calls the CADEX or FONSI, using that same type of instrument to be able to get these families homesite leases right away without any additional fees that they have to pay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halona. Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, thank you. And thank you, Shanata, for the conversation this morning, as well as the families. Chairman, just a recommendation, and I think my brother, Honorable Kealan Begay, mentioned this earlier. Could we add a leadership meeting to discuss this further in person at NAPI on today's agenda, and bring all the stakeholders together? I think that's the only way we'll bring some resolution. More importantly, clarity to everything. And Mike can bring all his maps, but we need to sit down as a whole and bring everyone together, all the stakeholders I mentioned, especially the Bureau of Indian Affairs, our land department, and even our chapters, if we can, to NAPI. If we could schedule that on this agenda, Chairman. Thank you.
Honorable Freeland, I did make that recommendation to the committee earlier, that we need to come back to the table and include land department, probably general land development department as well, NAPI, the CEO, as well as their board of directors, Department of Justice, our legal counsel, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and community members that live within that region. We need to have the BIA come to the table and say, yes, we would like to clarify this and how this land transaction had taken place by the federal government when certain lands were allocated to NAPI. Ishi Panachin Ahosan do Lesto we can schedule a full day's meeting if we need to, and move on what we need to do to decide, make a decision on how our people can receive water and electricity. It's not only in region that block 9, 10, and 11. Many farms I'm sure it's still like that out at NPL region as well as Bennett Freeze area. So when we request this legislation, these lands here are on moratorium. Our people that live in these regions will receive water, and we have to get it all done. Our legal counsel did request all the supporting documents for their research and how they will advise to move forward on this. So we appreciate everybody on the call. Honorable members of RDC.
Chairman.
Chair. Who's this? Vice Chair Walker.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
Yes, Chairman, all committee members, although the other colleagues that are on this call with us, other the presenters, Chairman, so if RDC can I guess include other areas where there were special moratoriums or lands that were designated be under certain moratoriums or by Navajo or by federal government. And as we know, Bennett Freeze, former Bennett Freeze, a Washington, the court does the heart not the NPL though. There has to do with the other tribes though, courts, so federal government. You could echo. That ends indeed by the lands, the blocks that we heard about this morning, and the concerns and the issues that were explained to us. Although there's others, of course. Navajo Nation's Parks and Recreation, Parks and Recreation managed land. Navajo Nation Parks Recreation managed land. I believe up in Monument Valley, Joe. Government. Present day citizens are Navajo people trying to make a living, safe living, where they, pursue their happiness, their enjoyment, their security, their livelihood, their well-being. Okay, there's a hindrance because of these land designations or moratoriums. ko tita e band-aid insan e quite out adult cho crashing maybe certainly going case by case can't do a blanket, can't address it like with a blanket or shotgun approach. I've seen na di nation so ban sa case ko chinan ko on sa case satta ani da hot and we could your Western Navajo agency ajigo put ko it nega da hadnaid ana lon haza ko issuing that that policy makers, rule makers, and the clinical legislators is only been on about this in Chairman Dole, committee members. I know the presenters this morning are Navajo relatives from New Mexico. So we hear you and we are responding. Sometimes we react, but I think a gradual, slow response is probably better than none at all. But I led all skinko. But that's a jaggy jada badaski. So what echo? Pushing that another cat or abandoned kito. Aba yaki or she yat echo. Ko iya sabati sikwege. Chairman, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, Kodo, Ne, Lagos, Chokodaho, Taylor, other areas across the Navajo Nation where there's special moratoriums and land designated areas for certain purposes, and some were done by court decisions and the federal government, perhaps the Navajo Nation, previous RDCs. Horat Egoshin, Nant Agobadia, Lasaho, Ida, Nikaya Hakib Kite, and Nekehat Ego. So, Nehut Ecuador, Ado Yegoshina Bigieti at our leadership meeting that we will schedule. And what we will do is after new business, we can amend the agenda to add and approve a leadership meeting and bring all the stakeholders together at that time. So, any other comments or questions, honorable members of RDC?
Mr. Chair, this is Daniel.
Honorable Daniels, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Aaron Dakododa. I apologize for getting on late this morning. The Washington the Hefty Committee. I totally forgot about this meeting that was changed to 8 a.m. again, but then I got the call about 40 minutes ago. But listening to the concerns and how without forgotten how the snake so although Mr. Halona maybe we should do an in-person meeting. No, yeah, Nappy area. 9, 10, 11 in Ajudam. 80 gig Ajud Nakat and again. So it more moratorium. David Begestio. With that moratorium, they can't get services like power line, water line, and others. So yeah, and so Ecuador great we are Ecuador the heat Ecuador great should shake Ecuador Ecuador that delicate walker. The great Monument Valley got the snow Ecuador that requests Schlako. The great next month a contact Kaidon Lesaco. I did that moratorium. So the great Sabin the Gregoria, Hoya the Nakat and again. 29,817 acres. 就在一个بالخاطلو. But I don't hear خنان here. I don't hear نهون هي خاطلو دا نو دا يهياد هالناكو. So ever since 1958, straight down 1958, that's when the park was established and was withdrawn. Net our line, water line, whatever. The park boundary, outside the park boundary. Net power, but the net in the now, what's it? Well, the power line was there, water line, while these things no come because of the moratorium, because of the park, the tribal park given. So those Zako the Natio NATO 1958. I don't understand how this is NPL. As in the cat in the Alhanat. Kid and Hazard, make what I NPL, but Monument Valley, 1958 down. I don't have the grazing permit, that's me. Back in the 40s, went down around that area. So, in the great grazing permit, the Nekaya trios, and the Nekaya, not close behind the tree, the Yanagi. I was finished. Out of kid that parks the lane. I see I don't have no don't need to link a they can't even improve their homes down in Monument Valley Tribal Park area. They can't even put a white roof on their house or Navajo Nation Parks and Recreation. I see it. Bohol Nena lo aja. The deed are count eight or less. Which is Nenahan other. Eight and a yabdis. Even Yehuya de Kaidol, the Conrad Sabin, the Skagoya, to meet with the Monument Valley Park residents. So A 7 Yehuya de Kaiko, but Oyeti Ahunana Ericus Banahan Nagi. Perhaps Hashida Alian Zondo Letico Ayan Saham no that's the baby but Codona Great Ajita Ike the game Monument Valley GK has been up the north RDC Kwit Inigita with the north no a the Ike the Arunan Aja Honan and the Great Nappy around Nappy area Ajato Message a job and Neko. I don't know Yego in Yamaha Lati as an oversight. Good RDC a coco. Yego in Hidet, Yego in Nebabanate. I really appreciate this on the agenda for that this topic with the agenda of Kali Yagi by hands and the that kind of open up the what's out there again, like the moratorium again that again. So it is Yakudona Greta, but the same for Yakudona Greta. I see ba eat or less Kodona Khalid Abakaito, Khalid Itohi, Konagata, Banana, Snagata, Manama Valley. Even
Honorable Daniels?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kosh?
Almost done.
We lost you there for a while.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and leave it right there. I'll take it out now. How to say cut off that large. I'll just go ahead and stop right there. And Benny can't doesn't quit up, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. We probably should have a meeting out there like you requested at Monument Valley and the surrounding region. And we probably should go out towards Tuba City as well. Also, because Jimmy Yellow here, because on the scene, the Kato height out and neighbor and the height, not the Kayap and now what a hot heki, hope it out and oats and fish bed out then a call. I see what a date and so I hear that as a banana. Are there any other comments or questions, honorable members of RDC?
Chairman Kellen.
Honorable Begay, go ahead.
Again, include within that area toward Neniki, the forestry area as well. Those people that live in the forestry area, such as the, and you mentioned Shelly Whitfields area, Kutat Egoshi, the forestry area, some of them are being told that nothing can be done because of the moratorium. So those are some areas I think that we really need to deal with. I know that we met Shelly Whitfield almost a month ago, and the other area that was brought up at that meeting was the Canyon de Shea area as well. So those are some things I think that we really need to have a closer look as well. So, but taking the time to go out there going out there will take time. But in the meantime, how quickly can we address this situation with a policy change, a recommendation? Because by the time people may have resolved these issues, we'll continue just making visit to these areas. That's another thing. But it is good to hear directly from them and visually see the situation. But my point is that that will take time, a month, 2 months, 3 months. But how much time some of these people may need to get these paperwork to get it going, and some of them are probably just being held up just because of getting this documents to be done. So I believe earlier you indicated that Mr. Helona, the land department, how much of the application is pending based on the situation. So IHS, OAH probably needs to be at the table, and then NTUA. That's another thing. NTUA, the service line agreement, because a lot of Navajo is coming up as well. That's another thing that we really need to pull in a lot of these people if they live closer to these power lines to get them onto the list. Otherwise, if they're in a situation as these people and our Navajo people in the area that are making the report, so again, Chairman, I'm not sure it's good to go out there, but my point is that we can quickly, as soon as possible, to get this legislation going. While we're going out there, maybe have this legislation to be discussed or be approved at a location that will be out there among the people that will be helping. So the sooner the better, Chairman. I know I'm not trying to push people to do what needs to be done, but I know everything has to be done correctly. The legislation development. So, Chairman, I appreciate the time again, but like I said, the forestry area is what we need to include as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. In April 11th on a Monday, we're going to have a work session with Navajo Land Department, Forestry, and Department of Justice in RU on issuance of home site lease in Navajo Commercial Forest. That will start at 9 o'clock on the 11th of April. April 12th, a leadership meeting with NPS and BIA on the half-mile buffer zone of Canyon de Shea. Honorable Slater, NPS is National Park Service. And on April 11 and April 12. And I just forward this calendar to you as well. 20 Sourcegi Aden Han de Goshin Burnham chapter do data, and also from other chapters, many farms, as well as wheat fields, Sahili chapter, and Tuba City de Gotasto. Also from Navajo old J Todet Sabin just Gadan still Arjit Hotnars Nelbagan Nelegation Ham Sabashin Sabe Dan Hadid Ahishin Sahadedi Lagiat Ashimbol Kanto Leto. We'll have one legislation that will pretty much take care of all that will cover the whole Navajo Nation. So any other comments or questions, honorable members of RDC? We will have Elmer, just hold on, Sesho. Honorable members of RDC, we will have on the agenda today NAPI BIA Land Department DOJ Mr. Halona said he'll bring the maps, so we'll have an in-person meeting and perhaps a teleconference as well. We do have Mr. Dave Zeller, CEO, on the call with us, as well as their attorney, Ms. Albina Earnhardt. But we'll add this on to the agenda today. Honorable Begay.
Yeah, I thought Shinado, other members of the RDC committee, that's a keep this. Although, I think a meeting at that level somewhere she thought there's that land that they're talking about in NPI Ajit Navajo Land Commission. And I think they have land there. So they develop that nettle right now to desert rock cut out in other I think it's solar now mean there for I think though I think there's some members Kiel Mikito, I believe that it's Delby Walker though Herman Daniels as that Navajo Land Commission. So either maybe somewhere we could put that on the agenda too. So I just want to know that I just want to tell you that I'm on the line too.
Honorable Begay, Hagi Latin, Tida.
It's a southern south east.
Honorable Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. It's not glad yet, Claudia. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions on the report? Let me give some time back over to Mr. Ernest Deswood. Make it brief, sir.
Can you hear me, Mr. Naz?
Yes, you may
Hello.
proceed.
Okay. I'd just like to thank the RDC committee members and other delegates and individuals on the phone line. I'd like to say that when this land was set aside for the NIP project, the legislation that amended the 1960s legislation that created NIP, that legislation in I'm not sure, I think it was 72 or 74, specifically expanded the areas to include blocks 9, 10, and 11. It also included language, and this is at the federal level, that said people had to be compensated for their lands and livestock and permits and so on. And to date, as far as I know, and Mr. Halona can probably confirm this, is that nobody in Block 10 was compensated. And also some people are in block 9 still have not been compensated. So this legislation from 1974 has a big impact on the development in 10, 9, 10, and 11. And so we would like RDC members to be aware that as part of this development in 9, 10, 11, the land and property and people that reside in it. So there's encumbrance that hasn't been addressed. So these need to be addressed if there's going to be a decision to complete this. But it is up to RDC to make these decisions. And so that's just something that I wanted to bring to the attention of the RDC membership. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Dashwood, the unfinished spouse and iniki so yeah oversight need Lido and the hast egi hast edo nisigi. And I'm not on to everybody that's on the call. I'm glad that we received the presentation that we did, and it was also brought up that other areas do have similar situations, and therefore we all have to come together, whether you're an enterprise, a division, as well as leadership and the people, to come up with a solution. That's what we're doing. We need to come up with a solution. That's where we will fix it and walk away and have everybody be happy, hopefully. Oh, they hast the Nisto, Corona, and hit a net so people can have water, electricity, basic infrastructure that's needed. Asian can honorable members of RDC. I don't say about night of kitchen and honorable members of RDC. If not, we'll go ahead and accept the report. Sheila, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote, sir?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay.
Chairman Callan votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels.
I vote in favor.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland.
Green. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart.
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Diswood, Ms. Laverne Begay, Mr. Dustin Johnson, and Mr. Halona. Appreciate your presentation. We'll move down to old business. There's none. New business. First, legislation. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon, are you on the call?
Chairman?
Yes.
Legislation 0042-22. The main sponsor on this is Jimmy Yellowhair. Office of Legislative Services tracking sent the updated legislation on that.
Okay.
And Mr. Yellowhair,
Jimmy
Delegate
Yellowhair.
Yellowhair is on the call as well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tahi, could you read legislation 0042-22 into the record, sir?
The chairman, members of RDC, you have legislative summary sheet, tracking number 0042-22, date February 8th, 2022. Title of the resolution, Proposed Standing Committee. Resolution and action relating to resource and development, approving a mission site permit for 1.5 acre more or less for reaching out with Christ Kingdoms Ministries, Inc. in the vicinity of Hard Rock Chapter, Navajo Nation. Purpose. The purpose of this legislation is to improve a mission site permit for reaching out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc. on 1.5 acres located in Hard Rock Chapter. Chair members of RDC, Resource and Development Committee, has final authority over this legislation. The primary sponsor is Jimmy Yellowhair. Co-sponsor is Honorable Seth Damon for tracking number 0042-22. In action relating to resource and development, approving a mission site lease permit for 1.5 acre more or less for reaching out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc. in the vicinity of Hard Rock Chapter, Navajo Nation. Section 1, authority. A, pursuant to 16 NNC section 1151C, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has authority to give approval for permits for mission site on behalf of the Navajo Nation. B, pursuant to 2 NNC section 501B2, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has the authority to give final approval for all land withdrawals, non-mineral leases, permit, license, right-of-way, surface easements, and bonding requirements on Navajo Nation lands and unrestricted fee lands. This authority shall include subleases, modifications, assignments, leaseholding, encumbrments, transfers, renewals, and terminations. Section 2, findings. A, the Reaching Out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc. has applied for a mission site within the Hard Rock Chapter. B, the terms and condition of the mission site permit is attached as Exhibit A. C, the proposed mission site is located on 1.5 acres more or less within the vicinity of Hard Rock Chapter, Navajo Nation, New Mexico. The survey of the Reaching Out with Christ Kingdom Ministry tract is attached as Exhibit B. D, the grazing official in memorandum dated August 31st, 2021 stated that the religious site is located on NPL Navajo partition land. The August 31st, 2021 memorandum is attached as Exhibit C. E, the Hard Rock Chapter Resolution HR 0203-017 dated February 24, 2003 approves the 1.5 acre tract of lands withdrawn for the Rock Ministries and requests the Navajo Land Department to do all things necessary to complete the process of this application. Hard Rock Chapter Resolution HR 0203-017 and a signed petition are attached as Exhibit D. F, the Biological Resource Compliance Form NNDF and WL review number 006-030 is attached to Exhibit E. The Historic Preservation Department Cultural Resource Compliance Form number HPD-04-314 with the Archaeology Inventory Report documentation pages and figures 1, 2, and 3 are attached as Exhibit F. And the Navajo Nation Department of Fish and Wildlife Natural Heritage Program memorandum dated May 21st, 2004 states that the project is not expected to affect any federal listing species or significantly impact any tribal listed species or any other species of concern. Is attached as Exhibit G. The United States Department of the Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Regional Navajo Region memorandum dated March 1st, 2006 states that a finding of no significant impact has been determined for the proposed action, which will not have a significant impact on the quality of nature and human environment. Is attached as Exhibit H. G, the application of mission site lease religious sites, the certificate of incorporation, and the articles of incorporation, and the council delegate knowledge forms are attached as Exhibit I. H, the executive official review document number 017279 was reviewed by the Department of Justice, Department of Water Resources, Fish and Wildlife, Minerals Management Department, Historic Preservation Department, Division of Natural Resources Administration, and the Navajo Land Department, and the Navajo Nation Environmental Protection Agency indicated approve or significant as attached as Exhibit J. Section 3, approval. A, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council thereby approves the mission site permit for the Reaching Out with Christ Kingdom Ministries, Inc., subject to but not limited to the attached terms and conditions contained hereto as Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by this reference. B, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council hereby authorize President of the Navajo Nation to execute all documents to effect the intent and purpose of this resolution. Attaches Exhibit A, the form mission site dated 2014, amended 05/15/19, the terms and conditions of the mission site permit Reaching Out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the landmark engineering survey. Attaches Exhibit C, a letter dated August 31st, 2021 regarding the religious site of Rocks Ministry in Hard Rock, Arizona. Attached is Exhibit B, which is the resolution of Hard Rock Chapter Resolution Number HR 0203017. Attached is Exhibit E is the Biological Resource Compliance Form, Navajo Nation Department of Fish and Wildlife. NNDF and WL review number 006-030. Attaches Exhibit F, which is the Culture Resource Compliance Form, Historic Preservation of Department, number NNHPD number HPD 04-314. Attaches Exhibit G, the letter with subject proposed construction of a mission site Reaching Out with Christ Ministry, Inc., Rock Ministries, dated May 21st, 2004. Attaches Exhibit H, which is the U.S. Department of the Interior Bureau of Indian Affairs, letter dated March 1st, 2006. Attaches Exhibit I, the application for the mission site, religious site, Navajo Nation land. Name on the is Reaching Out with Christ Kingdom Ministry, Inc., dated July 8th, 2021. Attaches Exhibit J, the executive official review, document number 017279. Date issue is 09/17/2021. And finally, you have the first report, Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary, legislation number 0042-22. Sponsor is Jimmy Yellowhair. This Internet review reportedly was posted on March 3rd, 2022 at 6:19 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 8th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation. There was no comments opposing this legislation. There was no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Chair members of RDC, that is legislation number 0042-22 read into the record. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi. If you have honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Chairman,
Motion, Daniel.
I'll second Freeland.
Honorable Daniels, motions, second by Honorable Freeland. Are there any questions or comments? RDC has final authority on this. Perhaps I'll go to Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. You have 20 minutes.
Honorable Rick Nance, Chairperson, Shanat Senate Assam Ozingo, RDC Committee, Honorable Herman Daniels, Honorable Thomas Walker, Honorable Mark A. Freeland, Honorable K.L. McKay, and Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. Here legislation 0042-22, which is read, all the page by page of documents has been recorded. So thank you very much for your help. And you're one of the very most important to take care of these type of legislation. And I just want to tell you that my colleagues that I was excused yesterday being in that committee. So very important. That was one of my brother was very. We lost a great loss, a big loss to my family. His name was Mr. Marvin Yellowhair. Was a teacher, currently a teacher at Pinion. Audubon Tande, Ebony Donna Shate. He was a very loyal, independent, and trustworthy. As he's loyal to school, was also as a teacher and Navajo language teacher. He also made Navajo dictionary too. So he was a star in the Star War North Kidan as a Darth Vader in the Navajo version. Even in Donna Shate. The more years I see, that's for your information. I don't share all this not on the Senegi Resource Development Committee. I don't agent of Mr. JBK Hartwood Chapter House. He's also standby. I don't want to since everything that's in red, page by page, and in Johanna Split or let I don't now the kid also agent. Thank you for your great help to the Hartwood chapters and in the surrounding area. In Johanna Sklados, to list Honorable Rick Nash, chairperson.
Yes, Nashin Soda Deals and the Lesson a Hohot in her army, Pahin, Freda Yocho, no, it's not Denny Leho, Ocean Sodas and Benanate Nato Lake, Honorable Jimmy Yellow Hair. Though she had what settled, don't he? Has Aja, what Banan Nahigito, Banan Nashigito, Kui Hot Ocean, can be Sohodas Niki, Hank Sagoshin, Kaya, Yoke, the Gay Koropa, and Ege here. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any comments or questions?
Chairman?
Yes, I understand there's an amendment.
That is correct.
Mr. Tahi, could you read that into the record and then we'll have a motion in a second.
The chair members of RDC, there's amendment to legislation 0042-22-1. On page 2, in lines 2, delete New Mexico and insert Arizona. 2, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Service and Office of Legislative Counsel are hereby authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and an exhibit to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be confirmed to the intent or language of this amendment. Chair, that is amendment number 1 read into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second on Amendment 1.
Motion, this is Daniel.
Honorable Daniels, thank you. Second. Second. And I.
I'll second, Chairman.
Honorable Freeland, thank you. Any comments or questions on the amendment? I hear none. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay text in his vote is green. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries on Amendment 1. Back to the main motion. Any comments or questions?
Chair, this is Aaron
yes.
Simonson, Hard Rock grading official. And maybe voted that. Hello? Do you hear me?
Yes, we just voted on an amendment 1. I just voted that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
this decision is for RDC. Thank you. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any comments or questions? None? Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay, text in his vote is green. Honorable Daniels,
I vote green.
thank you. Honorable Freeland,
Green.
thank you. Honorable Stewart, Honorable Stewart votes green according to his text message. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries. Legislation 0042-22 passes. Go ahead, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Next on B, legislation 0046-22. Honorable Madam Chair Charles Noon is on the call with us. Mr. Tahi, could you read this into the record, please? And then we will move on this legislation.
Chair, members of RDC, you have legislative summary sheet tracking number 0046-22, date March 4th, 2022, titled The Resolution, an action relating to the resource and development and advocate committees and the Navajo Nation Council, approving and adopting the agreement to amend the compact between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona. First Amendment to the 2021 Arizona Compact. Purpose. This resolution, if approved, will agree to amend the 2021 Arizona Gaming Compact to clarify and improve issues related to event wagering. Chair, members of RDC, Navajo Nation Council has final authority over this legislation, will be read into the record in its entirety. The sponsor to this legislation is Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, tracking number 0046-22, an action relating to the resource and development and advocate committees in the Navajo Nation Council, approving and adopting the agreement to amend the compact between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona, First Amendment to the 2021 Arizona Compact. In section 1 outlines the authority. In section 2 lists the findings, which includes Exhibit A. The Navajo Nation Attorney General has deemed this document confidential and not subject to disclosure pursuant to 2 NNC section 164A6, and also includes an Exhibit B. In section 3 is the approval and adoption, which references Exhibit A. Attached is Exhibit A, a letter dated March 2nd, 2022, subject confidential exhibit for proposed legislation regarding approval of amendments to the 2021 Arizona Compact, was sent to Ms. Dana Barbaroff, Chief Legislative Counsel, Office of Legislative Counsel. Attached is Exhibit B, the resolution of the Navajo Gaming Committee, the 24th Navajo Nation Council, 4th year 2022, resolution number NAGSF-01-22. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0046-22, sponsor Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Hi, I was trying to get some
Please
information.
mute your phones. Ms. Arvizo, could you take that person off the call? Thank you.
It was posted on March 4th of 2022 at 6:40 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 9th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation. There was no comments opposing this legislation. There was no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Chairman, that and RDC members, that is tracking number 0046-22 read into the record. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodney Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Chairman, I motion.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Second.
Second, Freeland.
Honorable Freeland. Nanta. This legislation goes on to Nabagiati as well as the full Navajo Nation Council. Are there any questions, comments? Going twice. Going three times, Shananta. We will go ahead and take a vote on this. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels.
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart. Honorable Stewart text his vote in as green. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries for legislation 0046-22. Thank you, Madam Chair Charles Newton.
Thank you, Chair Nez and members of the RDC committee. I'm sure we'll have a lengthy conversation about this compact tomorrow. I do appreciate the favorable vote I have.
Okay, at that time, you can request executive session over there, so thank you. Honorable members of RDC, we're on C. Honorable Carl Slater, are you on the call? Going twice. Going 3 times. Down to D, legislation 0049-22. Sponsor, Honorable Stewart, who is on the call. Mr. Rodney Tahi, please read this in for the record.
Chair, members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet tracking number 0049-22, date March 8th, 2022. An act relating to the Resource and Development, Budget and Finance and Advocate Committees, and to the Navajo Nation Council approving $500,000 from the Citizen Fund for the assessment, removal, and cleanup of an old residential units in the community of Navajo, New Mexico, approving the related expenditure plan in accordance with 12 NNC section 2505A. Purpose: to approve $500,000 out of the Citizen Fund to the Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation, a Section 501c3 nonprofit entity, for the assessment, demolition, and cleanup of 530 NFPI employee housing unit in Navajo, New Mexico that are vacant, condemned, vandalized, dilapidated, burnt, or otherwise damaged, to mitigate blight in the Red Lake chapter community. Chair, members of RDC, Navajo Nation Council has final authority over this legislation, will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor is Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. for tracking number 0049-22, an act relating to Resource and Development, Budget and Finance and Advocate Committees, and to the Navajo Nation Council approving $500,000 from the Citizen Fund for the assessment, removal, and cleanup of old residential units in the community of Navajo, New Mexico, approving the related expenditure plan in accordance with 12 NNC section 2505A. Section 1 outlines the authority. Section 2 lists its finding, which includes Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit E, Exhibit F, Exhibit G, Exhibit H, and Exhibit I. In section 3 is the approval of $500,000 from the Sisasan Fund for the assessment, demolition, and cleanup of the old residential unit in Navajo, New Mexico. In section 4 is the approval of related expenditure plan and administration for the expenditure plan. In section 5 is the effective date. In section 6 is the savings clause. Attaches Exhibit A, which is the Navajo Nation Corporation Code of Certificate of Incorporation. Attaches the Exhibit B, which is documented, dated to Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation. Attaches Exhibit C, which is the Navajo Nation Corporation Code Certificate of Good Standing for the Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation. Attaches Exhibit D, which is the management agreement between the Navajo Nation and the Town Site Community Development Corporation. Attaches Exhibit E, the Sisasan Fund, the purpose of the assessment, removal, abate, and demolition blight, condemned, and burned units with the request of $500,000. Attaches Exhibit F, the resolution of the Board of Directors of the Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation, resolution number NTCDC 21-13. Attaches Exhibit G, which is demolition of the blighted housing units in the community of Navajo, New Mexico, April 2021, revised December of 2021 by the Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation. Attaches Exhibit 8, which is the budget breakdown of the burned units, 11 total, and the boarded vacant units in the Cypress Place, total amount of $500,000. Attaches Exhibit I, the resolution of Red Lake Chapter number 18, resolution number RLC-01-22-02, requesting the Budget and Finance Committee, the Resource and Development Committee, the 24th Navajo Nation Council, and the Capital Project Management Department of the Navajo Nation Division of Community Development and the Navajo Nation Division of Economic Development to appropriate $500,000 from the Navajo Nation Sisasan Fund for the removal of blighted, vacant, and condemned public rental units managed for the Navajo Nation by Navajo Town Site Community Development Corporation. Then you have the first report, the Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for tracking number 0049-22. The sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. It was posted on March 9th, 2022 at 5:48 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 14th, 2022. You have 8 comments supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, and no comments or recommendation on this legislation. The first comment supporting this legislation is by Glenda Davis. The second one is by Preston Garnanez. The third comment is by Justin Morgan. The fourth comment is by Nanaba Chicharello. The fifth comment is by Genevieve Jackson. The sixth comment is by Pauline Garnez. The seventh comment is by Francine Tom, and the eighth comment is by Natanya Y. Garnanez. Chair, then you have the second report, the Internet Public Review Summary for Legislation 0049-22. It was posted on March 9th, 2022 at 5:48 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended March 14th, 2022. You have a comment supporting this legislation, 0 comments opposing this legislation, 1 comment, 0 comments and recommendation. The comments supporting this legislation is Jonathan Hale, NTCDC, which was submitted by email. Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation 0049-22 read into the record. Back to you.
Thank you. Okay, honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second. Motion.
Chairman, I motion.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker motions. Second by.
Freeland?
Daniel. Second.
Honorable Freeland. Yeah. This legislation goes on to Budget and Finance, as well as Navigatia and the full Navajo Nation Council. Any comments, questions? I hear none. We'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green. No.
Okay. Honorable Stewart. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries for legislation 0049-22. Yeah. And also, we have a colleague on the call with us, Honorable Chairman Jamie Henio.
Good morning, Shenandoah. Chairman Nez, Shenandoah Resource Development Committee. Kadoya Vakela don Shrechi Yado Nitida DC. Kudos Hastin Sean to the Chini was a chain. I took it linear to say that was additionally that don't watch and then Nasha. I don't even have an but the Sagi, the Kanas, the Zogi. Yat Senator Torchi later. It's so. That I did try Kadoya, but the shark or others, the Nasaya. I can't let the hot many beer. That's just how it looking here in the Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman Henio. Yeah. Moving down to E on under new business, approving an in-person leadership meeting with CKP Insurance and Department of Agriculture for Saturday, March 26 at 9 a.m. on the Pasture, Rangeland, and Forage policy update and how the 2021 policy ended. It will be at Twin Arrows, and let's have a motion and a second.
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, thank you. Second by
Stewart.
Honorable Stewart, thank you. Any comments or questions? It's going to be on March 26, 9 a.m. Saturday at Twin Arrows. No comments or questions. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green, according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
I vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Daniels. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart votes green, according to his text message. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Turnout voting, motion carries. F, canceling RDC regular meeting on Wednesday, April 27 at 10 a.m. and schedule an RDC special meeting on Friday, April 29 at 10 a.m. Would like to have a motion and a second. Motion.
Freeland.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Second by
I'll second.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Thank you. Any comments or questions? None. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you.
Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels.
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland.
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries. Honorable members of RDC, we would like to motion to suspend the floor rules to amend the agenda.
Chairman,
and add leadership meeting. Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Second.
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland. Any comments, questions? None.
Mr.
Honorable
Chair,
Vice Chair Walker. Honorable Daniels.
Yes, a quick question, Mr. Chair. What's the amendment? How you amend the
The amendment, Shenandoah, is to add a leadership meeting for constituents at Burnham Chapter Blocks 9, 10, and 11 with Navajo Land Department, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and RDC, and other stakeholders will be invited that needs to be at the table, like NAPI. So that's what it's about, Honorable Daniels.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Sheila, that was my fault. I didn't say that part, but I'm glad you asked that question. It's always good to say that I was wrong. So, any comments or questions on suspension of floor rules?
Chairman?
Yes.
In addition to that suspension, can we add to the agenda the April 23rd meeting with Navajo pastors, preachers, and religious leaders at Twin Arrows Casino per the recommendation from yesterday's final work session with Land Department and General Land Development on the church land use permits and the proposed amendments as well? Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Rodney, for that. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, would you concur to modify to add also April 23 to have that leadership meeting on church site lease regulations and invite pastors and other religious leaders?
Yes, Chairman, I concur that.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Freeland, do you concur? Honorable Freeland? Okay. Hakushila. Hello. Any comments or questions? None? Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart votes green according to his text message. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Motion carries for suspension of floor rules and amend the agenda. So G will be the leadership meeting, and then H will also be leadership meeting with the church site lease. And let's have a motion for leadership meeting approval with constituents from Burnham Chapter that are affected by blocks 9, 10, 11. Also include Navajo Land Department, BIA, RDC, and NAPI to sit down and have this meeting. Mr. Tahi, if you would also
find a date for us. Let's have a motion. Sunanda.
Mr. Chair, this is Lorraine with Legislative Council. May I speak?
Let me have a motion and a second first, please. Thank you.
Freeland.
Motion. Honorable Freeland, second by. Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Ms. Laureline Tapahi, you have.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I was just going to recommend that the committee formally invite someone from Legislative Council and perhaps Ms. Khan, and also someone from DOJ to attend the meeting as well. I think it's very good to get firsthand experience and contact with the folks who are affected, and that way, that they know what's going on and they know what the end goal is in terms of drafting changes to regulations and policies and such. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tapahi, for your advisement. And within this leadership meeting, we will also include the Office of Legislative Counsel. Whoever will be available that day. If Ms. Khan's available, then we'll have her be on the call. We will also have the Department of Justice on the call as well. So, Honorable Freeland, so we'll have that addition. Do you concur?
I'll be good, Chairman.
Okay, Vice Chair Walker?
Oh, Mila.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Tahi, could you find a date for us? And perhaps we'll have it at our next meeting.
The chair, members of RDC, I'm looking at your calendar. This meeting would have to take place in May, as your calendar for March and April are filled up. We can schedule this if you would like on April 15th, which is a Good Friday. If
April
not,
15th.
If not, we can schedule it on Monday, May 2nd. And as our calendar keeps adjusting, I can make those adjustments to move up the date as well.
Thank you for that, Rodney. I believe the sooner the better. So if we could have April 15, if not May 2nd at 9 o'clock in person, preferably, but to have a teleconference available as well. And we would also have that tour that we mentioned earlier, a tour of Block 9, 10, and 11. Now, where is the location of this area? So we'll have that as a part of the leadership meeting at NAPI. And any comments or questions?
Chairman.
Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, can we leave Good Friday open? I just want
to leave that Friday open?
Yes, Chairman.
Are you saying not April 15th?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go with May 2, unless if we switch one of the meetings. I know all our meetings are very important, but we'll just approve it for May 2 and make April 15 clear out of respect for our colleagues to commemorate these days. And I will just have May 2, but if we need to amend that date, we'll do so. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Chairman.
Oh, None. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting, motion carries. H, church site lease regulations, leadership meeting to invite religious leaders and pastors on April 23rd at Twin Arrows Navajo Casino Resort. Motion?
Chairman, on the motion.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Second by?
Freeland.
Second. Honorable Freeland. Thank you. Any comments, questions? None. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Yeah. Honorable Stewart? He votes green according to his text message. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Motion carries. And we are pretty much complete and done with our meeting. And close of meeting. Any other announcements?
Chairman?
Motion? Yes.
Just a reminder for RDC members that we do have a leadership meeting at 3 o'clock today to discuss the Telecom Medical Center lease transfer. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you for reminding. And I will be back at 3 o'clock. It's very important to be on the call for this Telecom. Our folks are depending on us on this, so please call back in, Shananta. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chair,
Motion.
Chair, this is
Honorable Vice Chair Walker and Honorable Daniels, second. Any comments or questions? Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay votes green according to his text message. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart, text in his vote is green. It is now 11:17 a.m. We are officially adjourned. I would like to say thank you very much for calling in to RDC leadership meeting. Be safe out there and may God bless each and every one of you. Ms. Whitty, God bless you and your family. Take good care of your mom and enjoy your retirement. And just remember us and call in when you can.